Hello, Hans Seeley here, Rat Beautician. This is a long overdue board deck and dice review recap. We will look through my reviews numbered 61 to 70 and I'm going to do them in rank order. Just a reminder that I rank according to the Board Game Geek system, so if you want a breakdown of how that works, just look on Board Game Geek. So the lowest rated game of my last of those 10 reviews was Game of Trains, which I gave a 5 to. It was okay. You have a train and a load of carriages, and you have to get your carriages in the right numerical order. They've all got a big number on them, but they've also got an action on them, and when you get rid of them from your train, you may put them to the middle and then they can be used for the action instead. And this whole mechanic, whilst it should be straightforward, just really confused people I played with, and it was just okay. It was one of those games that if there's a game going on, you wouldn't mind playing it, but you wouldn't necessarily choose it. So that's Game of Trains. Next is Fun Employed, which I gave a 6.5 to. Now, this gets a little bit higher because I like the game in theory more than I did in the practice. So in Fun Employed, one person is a employer, they turn over a card, and this is a job that everyone else is applying for, but they must use the attributes on the cards they've got. They can have a time of swapping them around with someone on the table, and then they build their CV, as it were, or build their interview from the cards in their hands. Now, with the right group, this can be absolutely hilarious, but even with the right group, if you get a set of bad words, it is very hard to make those funny. It is very hard to create something from those, and this meant there was often rounds that were hilarious followed by rounds where you could hear a pin drop or a sympathy laugh, so kind of a mixed bag with that one. Next up for review was Why First, which I gave a 6.9 to. This is a cunning little game where you are trying to come second in each of the rounds and to score points, but then you don't want to be first overall on the point board, so you might not always want to be second, because in each round only the second player scores points, and overall the second place person wins. So you've got 5 rounds to try and secure second place. It plays with your brain. You're doing this by playing cards that move you up on a track, which can score minus or plus points, and it's a neat little game. Again, for my collection, there wasn't enough to it to play it over certain other things. I've got a lot of filler games in my collection that I would rather go to. However, I'd always happily play this. So yeah, 6.9 for Why First. Mafia de Cuba scores 7. This is a game where you are handing the box round, which is shaped like a cigar box, and people are taking things out of it, either a roll or some diamonds. When it gets back to the player who started, who is the Godfather, they have to work out who's stolen their diamonds, and all the roles have different goals for winning. The driver wants the person on the right to win, the henchmen want the Godfather to win, and etc, etc. Nice enough game. Again, very group dependent on how people are going to respond to being questioned by the Godfather, how people are happy with bluffing and lying, and how they get the game. Didn't work greatly for my group, but again, a game that I think if I was in a different situation with a regular group, maybe one I would have kept in my collection, so worth checking out. Defeason 7 is a game that does work with my group. Finally, it is a game where you're playing cards from your hand, and when you play it, you have to count the next number in a sequence, and the sequence goes 1, 7 and back down again. But depending on what's on the card, you may have to say a different word, you may have to not say anything, you may have to say 2 numbers, and then the person must carry on as though after the 2 numbers. Very simple, very quick, and hilarious, especially when you get a long chain where you've been going for ages and everyone's just waiting for someone to mess up and trying to keep track not only of what the next number to say is, but for them, but what the next number for everyone else is, so they can see if they went wrong or not. You just can't switch off in this game. Great little game that came out of nowhere for me, Defeason 7. Skull scored 7.5. Skull is in essence a boiling down of Liar's Dice or Perudo, where you have 4 really nice coasters, like Drinks Coasters card, and 1 has a skull, 3 has flowers. Everyone places one of their cards up to them, which they place in front of them, and then after that everyone can either place another card or say challenge, and what they're trying to do is predict how many flowers they will draw before hitting a skull. Now, they have to go through their pile first, but they can go through the other piles in any order without even going through the full pile. It's quick, it's clever. The biggest criticism people have had with this, and it's not one of my criticisms, but one I've heard, is that they didn't get the strategy. Where in Liar's Dice, the strategy is a bit clearer because you've got more information. In Skull, they felt like they had less information to go on. So bear that in mind. Arcane Academy is a 7.5. This is a game from Eric Lang and IDW, and it's a tile laying game where you're trying to build the biggest combos. Some tiles will latch onto other tiles, and if you play one that latches on, you can actually access all the powers around it as well. And you're just trying to complete 8 cards, but actually it plays quickly. It's simple rules. I wish the components were a bit better. The tiles are fine, the spinners are, the crystals are nice. But the player mats are just really thin, yeah. But nice tile laying game that plays better than it looks. Number 8 was a big surprise for me. It's a game called Catbox, which is a card game that I actually count as an abstract game because it's quite an abstracted sort of area control game where each card is a square, has 4 pictures on it, and they're either going to be different coloured cats or an empty box, and depending on which role you play, because this game has hidden roles, you're trying to build rows and lines of the biggest of your colour of cat secretly, or if you're the dog, you're trying to get empty boxes and sets of 3 of the other coloured cats. Really clever, really good mesh of mechanics, and has just gone down really well with everyone I played it. And there's also, sneaky little burp there, also an advanced game in the box as well. So even though the core game is actually enough, there is an advanced game in there as well. Cheers. And then we have Pitch Car Mini, which I scored an 8, and I imagine this would be the same score, or perhaps even higher for the bigger version. I have the mini version just simply because of space. And this is, I've got every extension for it, bar number 2, which is arguably the best one. But this is just a great, easy dexterity game of flicking your discs around a wooden track that you build in any way you want, or you follow the suggested ones. You can play it kind of more Mario Kart style, where if you knock someone off, they go back to where you were. It's just a fantastic game. Works much better with more players. You can even buy 2 sets and sticker them differently, so you could have 16 players. It's a great game, easy to pull out and lots of fun. And the last one, the best review of the month, is another 8, and that's Potion Explosion. This game makes such an impression on a table. You have this cardboard marble dispenser that you've built, but the box actually fits that back in afterwards. And there's 5 rows of marbles. You take a marble, if 2 of the same colour hit, you get those as well. And you're using those marbles to construct, to make potions, which give you points and one-use powers. And it just works really well. If I had any criticisms of it, it would be that it does play a little longer than I perhaps would like, but you have the ability to house rule that and change, because you play to the end of a pile of tokens, so you can simply remove one of those tokens to make it play shorter. A warning with that one is you're not going to get that in the shop and take it home and play it within the first hour or 2, because there is so much to punch, but I found it well worth it. And another warning is that one I've seen online, a lot of people who struggled to punch that one with it tearing. My copy, I think only one of the holes for the marbles on one of the potions tore a little bit, but I've seen some that have been really bad, so you might want to cut them out with a knife first. So there is my 10 reviews from 6170. If you want to find out more about them, check the links below. Thanks very much for watching. I've been Ham Seeley, and this has been Board Deck and Dice. We'll see you next time.